We turn now to the case of Private First Class Kimberly Rivera. She is a conscientious objector and a pregnant mother of 4 children who has just been sentenced to military prison. Rivera first deployed to Iraq in 2006. During a 2-week leave back in the U.S., she decided to refuse a second tour of duty in Iraq. In January 2007, Rivera and her family packed up their car and crossed the border into Canada. She was later charged with desertion and faced up to 5 years in prison if convicted. Well, on Monday, she was sentenced to 14 months. Under a pretrial agreement, she will serve 10 months of that sentence. This is Kimberly Rivera speaking late last year about her case.
If you want to know, my biggest fear is being separated from my children and having to sit in a prison for politically being against the war in Iraq.
Since their arrival to Canada in early 2007, Kimberly Rivera, her husband, and 2 children settled in Toronto. She had 2 more children there and made several attempts to legally immigrate. Canada's War Resisters Support Campaign championed the case, drawing endorsers, including Nobel Peace Prize winner Desmond Tutu. But Canadian officials refused. In August, they ordered the Rivera family to leave the country or face deportation. A provincial lawmaker representing Rivera's Toronto district, Cherry DeNovo, condemned the order.
As the Member of Parliament for Parkdale High Park, which is home to a number of war resistors, I know Kimberly personally. I see her in our neighborhood, see her with her family. I know that she participates in the community. She's a volunteer. She works with children. And she is a person who has shown great integrity and courage and principles. Surely she is exactly the kind of person that we want to embrace and welcome here in Canada. Canada has a proud history of welcoming conscientious objectors from other wars in the past. Why not now? Especially given that this is a war that Canadians are proud not to have participated in.
That was Ontario lawmaker Cherry DeNovo speaking last August. Kimberly Rivera turned herself in at the U.S.-Canadian border just days later. She's now on her way to a military prison for 10 months. Her 5th child is due while she's behind bars. Well, we're joined right now by her husband, by Mario Rivera. He'll now become the primary caretaker for their 4 young children. We're also joined by James Branham, the defense attorney who represented Kimberly during her court-martial yesterday, Monday, at Fort Carson. He's also represented dozens of other conscientious objectors as legal director for the Oklahoma Center for Conscience and Peace Research. They're speaking to us from the Tim Gill Center for Public Media in Colorado Springs, home to Rocky Mountain PBS and KRCC Public Radio. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Mario, you've just come out of the court yesterday. Can you respond to the sentencing of your wife, Kimberly, to 10 months in jail for refusing to return to Iraq and go to Canada instead?
I think it was severely harsh. I personally feel that the judge had already made up his mind before the trial had even started. And it's just too much. The kids need her.
Mario, tell us about the reaction of your children. How have they handled this whole ordeal, and what did they say yesterday?
As soon as they found out yesterday, they broke down into tears. Just the thought of being away from the mother for 10 more months. They've already been gone for 8 months out of her life. So it's difficult.
Mario, how old are your kids and what are their names?
Christian's 11, Rebecca is 8, Katie is 5, and Gabriel is 2.
James Branham, you're her attorney. When she was in Iraq, she turned to a chaplain to say she could not do this, that she could not, when she looked at Iraqi children, she said, open fire?
Yes, she talked to the chaplain, expressed her concerns. She said that she didn't think she could pull the trigger if asked to. And this is a critical issue because she was a gate guard at FOB Loyalty in Baghdad. Her job was a critical critical thing as far as security coming on and off the base. And so she felt that she morally could not do what she was asked to do. At the same time, she realized that she would put other soldiers in danger if she didn't pull the trigger when the time came. She talked to a chaplain about it. The chaplain largely pushed her aside, did not give her the counsel that she really needed. And so when she came home on leave, she took other steps. And it's unfortunate that she did not get the legal advice and the information she needed to seek status as a conscientious objector.
So
that said,
James Brownham, so when she said this to the chaplain, he didn't say, there's a way you can legally do this, you could apply for CO status. Instead, he argued with her?
Yes.
So she didn't know the process?
But the chaplain was very resolute that she needed to stay there. She needed to fulfill a mission. Instead of giving her the spiritual counsel she needed at that moment, instead, this chaplain told her basically, suck it up, continue on. And that was not the advice she needed at that moment. She needed to know her rights. She needed to know AR 600-43 gives her the right to seek status as a conscientious objector. She didn't know that.
James, so 10 months in prison, how does this sentence compare to sentences to other resistors? And is there an exception here, given the fact that she's pregnant and is due in December? How does that factor in?
We don't know. The judge doesn't really give the rationale for why he made the decision he did. We do know there have been some resistance cases that have received greater sentences. As long as 24 months has been given. But many other resistors receive little jail time or no jail time. And of people that desert generally, over 90% do no jail time at all. And so we feel that Kim was singled out. Another thing, the prosecutor at trial said that he asked the judge to give a harsh sentence, to send a message to the war resistors in Canada. And we feel that was the Canadian government, in deporting Kim, said she would not face any serious punishment because of her political and conscious objection to war. And in reality, that's exactly what happened. That was the prosecution's argument, that because she spoke out against the war, she therefore should be punished.
Mario, you live in Colorado, is that right, with your 4 children?
No, the 4 children are in Texas right now. I came up here in March originally because that was when the trial was supposed to have been. Unfortunately, my mom fell ill, and it was pushed back until yesterday.
So how will you raise the 4 kids alone? How are you going to do this over the next 10 months?
I don't know. It's going to be difficult. I'm just going to have to do my best and try to keep it together and keep them together and just help them be strong.